It was Sunday night, hip-hop night, at the nightclub Good Bar. I was bartending by myself because the two veteran bartenders, Daisy and Michael, weren't working there anymore. As far as I know, Daisy quit because she didn't want to deal with the demanding customers anymore, and Michael got fired because some money went missing last Sunday, so my manager, Brandon, fired him. But Michael didn't care, because as he put it, he was sick and tired of working Sunday nights. So there I was, ready to work for a rough crowd and one large enough for 3 or 4 bartenders. Right off the bat, there was at least 3 groups of people yelling at me to gain my attention, so I signaled them to hold on a sec. I had to move fast and make drinks flawlessly because any mistakes would set me back, and the more I fell behind, the more impatient the crowd grew. At one point, people were yelling at me at the top of their lungs, but there was nothing I could do about it because, again, this night would have been pretty hectic for 3 or 4 bartenders, and being that I was the only one bartending for close to 300 customers, it was absolute insanity. And to top it off, since I was a fairly new employee at Good Bar, I wasn't yet acquainted with the security guards who I would need if things got out of hand. And my manager, Brandon, for whatever reason, was nowhere to be found for most of the night. Other than having a bar back with me, I was on my own, and within what felt like minutes into my shift, the bar was swarmed with loud, angry drunks. So with that said, I rushed up and down the bar, serving drinks and collecting cash faster than I have ever done before. I was telling customers things along the lines of, I have 3 people ahead of you, then I'm coming right back. I have 2 people ahead of you, then I got you. It went on and on like this throughout the night. But still, I kept my cool. Despite the hostility, I performed the best flair moves of my career that night. I was tossing cups behind my back and catching them, and I double flipped a Boston shaker straight in the air, and with one hand, caught it and started shaking it. As the night went on, a woman sitting with her friend signaled me to gain my attention. She ordered 1 Long Island with no ice. So I poured her the proper amount of alcohol and topped the rest of the glass with juice to compensate for the no ice request. Then I gave her a drink, took her money, and put it in the register. Moments later, she started complaining about her weak-tasting drink. So I told her, while fulfilling another drink order, that I poured her the proper amount of alcohol, but I doubt she heard me over the loud music. I'm guessing she thought, if she asked for no ice, that she would get more alcohol in return, which was not the case, and this infuriated her, which was very apparent because she started yelling at me and demanding her money back. So I told her, that's fine, I'll give you your money back, but you're gonna have to wait for the manager to come back. After that was said, I made my way towards the other side of the bar to take more drink orders, and the 2 women followed. They took a seat in front of me, and watched me make drinks for other customers with spiteful grins on their faces, and as they sat there, I could sense their anger building towards me. Moments later, her friend decides she now wants to give me her 2 cents of the situation, in which she was leaning over the bar, aggressively signaling me to come here. I almost did, but I'm glad I didn't, because she looked like she was going to yank me over the bar, at which point the crowd would devour me. Luckily, my manager happened to show up, and I told him what happened, at which point he reached into my register and gave them their money back. Then he whispered in my ear and said something along the lines of, "It's not worth arguing over," so I just gave them back their money. After hours of non-stop bartending, I finally had a spare moment's rest and spoke with the bar back. Then a waiting customer started yelling at me, so I signaled her to hold on a sec as I caught my breath and wrapped up the conversation with the bar back. Then I walked towards her and asked, "How may I help you?" She continued to yell at me and would not stop. So I said, "Whoa, alright, I'll get the manager. He can help you." So I did, and luckily Brandon happened to be close by again. Finally, the lights turned on, which felt divine, like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. But in actuality, it meant that it was last call and the night was coming to an end. So this elderly woman ordered a shot, and when I served it to her, she asked, "Why do they have you behind the bar?" I smiled and said, "Because they know I could handle it." We laughed and high-fived each other. At that point, I was done making drinks, so I started inputting my credit tips into the register as the security guards got people to leave. And while I was inputting my tips, I heard a man yell, "Hey man." The registers faced the wall, so I had to turn around to look at him, and when I did, he yelled, "Fuck you." He laughed, reached out, and shook my hand, and as he made his way towards the exit, I told him, "Have a good night, and thanks for coming." The next morning, I broke down to my girlfriend and told her that I felt that Brandon was pushing my limits by having me work all week, a double Saturday, and then on Sunday, throw me into the fire by myself with his hip-hop night. But I didn't want to complain to him because Brandon was making me a lot of money, and I was hoping if I continued to show a high level of dedication that in time he would have me bartend on better nights, which eventually happened. But despite the stress I experienced, it has benefited me. Never again would anyone ever be able to intimidate or faze me behind the bar after what I experienced that night, and with the absence of the 2 veteran bartenders to aid me, it has forced me to learn some hard lessons, and now I've become a veteran bartender myself.